I must admit I haven't got around to listening to a lot of Danny Brown's music, but I've listened to all the podcasts he's ever done, and I've been a huge fan of Danny Brown's comedy for years. He's a natural comedian with amazing timing, which lends itself to music, and he's also a natural wit. I first found out about Danny from a Vice documentary about Detroit when he was featured as a guide, and he struck me as very affable, with a unique personality that was naturally funny and contagious, leaving me wanting to see more of him. Secondly, what really cemented Danny Brown as a natural comedian in my mind were his appearances on Joey Diaz's The Church of What's Happening Now podcast, where the 3 episodes that he appeared on were some of the most entertaining and best of the entire podcast duration. Danny, just by being himself, effortlessly showcased his natural storytelling abilities, excellent sense of humor, and conversational skills better than many of the other so-called comedian guests, leaving them all in his wake. There's just something so likable about Danny Brown. His down-to-earth nature is as genuine and unpretentious as they come, and what adds to his relatability is his honesty about himself and his past, and the world from which he came. And I think this, in part, is what makes him so endearing to people. And then there's his laugh. That unmistakable, unique laugh that is the most recognizable in the entertainment industry, and one that is never put on and just comes out as natural as the colors on a butterfly's wing. By Danny's account, he had a tough upbringing, being born to teenage parents in the 1980s in Detroit, which, much like now, and at that time of Danny's birth, is a shadow of its former self, with the car industry collapsed and families struggling to survive in the Reagan economic era. Additionally to that, Danny's grandfather was a Vietnam vet who Danny believes was poisoned by his Filipino grandmother, whom he met while stationed in Southeast Asia, but that's a story for another time. Danny was a street kid, which no doubt influenced his earthy humor, and was even incarcerated for 8 months for selling weed, which these days seems like a cruel and unjust punishment. However, despite all this, some of Danny's most entertaining stories come from his time in prison, and I'm absolutely certain that if Danny wished, he could produce a solid hour of material for a comedy special just on his prison experiences alone. A lot of rappers just aren't very good communicators outside of music when it comes to interviews, because they come across as standoffish and non-communicative, which is part of their gangster rap ego trip, and are hyper-aware and even paranoid that they are being placated and don't want their reputations to suffer. And not many rappers have successfully and consistently appeared as entertaining on podcasts the way Danny Brown has, and I would even go as far as to say that he is the greatest rapper who has ever transferred mediums so seamlessly and successfully. I think one of the funniest stories that Danny has ever told was on the Joey Diaz Church of What's Happening Now podcast, episode number 233. Danny related to Joey and a horrified Lee Syatt a hilariously dark story of a fellow prison inmate being raped through the prison cell bars for a cheese sandwich. I know it's a shocking story, but the absurdity and the way that Danny tells it is so matter of fact that it's comedy gold.
But you find yourself in that motherfucker. You really figured out who you are. You're like, no, I'm not like these motherfuckers. Like, I watched a nigga get raped through the cell.
Okay.
Like, the nigga that had the job for me, like a registry job, like, if, you know, because you know motherfuckers come from upstate and they gotta go to the county to go to the jail. And he had to get a nigga the cheese sandwich. The nigga grabbed him through the cell. Like, the nigga, he give him a sandwich. Nigga knocked him out. I don't know how, but he knocked him out some type of way and was fucking this nigga through the cell. Like, he in his cell, this nigga on the outside.
Lee, what would you take, dick or a cheese sandwich?
Another fantastic Danny Brown appearance was on Andrew Schultz's Flagrant podcast, which showcased everything that he does so naturally well. He's witty, confident, relatable, informative, funny, charming, and most importantly, entertaining. I love this story about when he went to fight a fellow inmate with a broom in prison and it didn't go to plan.
You know Cartier glasses?
Yeah.
That's like a big staple in Detroit.
Yeah.
He's in the jail cell with his Cartier glasses on. That right there should have gave me a sign. Leave this nigga alone. There's no possible way he got his Cartier. They supposed to take the Cardis from you. So you want some status shit to even have the Cardis. He's sitting in the cell with the Cardis on. And he's by himself too. I fake it off. I go get a push broom. And I fake it like I'm gonna go in there and clean the cell and shit. And you know there's cameras everywhere, so everybody can watch it. So as soon as I get in the cell, try to hit the nigga with the broom. You know what I'm saying? Like on some shit, I try to hit the nigga with the broom. This nigga did some Jet Li shit. Caught the broom. The nigga caught the broom and gave me 3 stiff bitches. That's all I can call them. Stiff bitches, man. Straight to the nose. Like, boom, boom, boom. I dropped the broom and just ran out. Like, it's crazy in here.
Danny gets very animated when he tells stories, and he has an almost cartoon-like characteristic to his being that he's able to tap into. This appearance on First We Feast's Hot Ones is one of the most hilarious of the whole series, and showcases Danny's unique qualities of self-animation.
That's what motivated you.
You can't. You can't get a Porsche without a driver's license.
It would be unjust to rate Danny's comedy beside another professional comedian, because Danny would shit all over them, even the ones who have been working on their craft and style for decades, because Danny is such a natural talent with such a unique voice and style. If he decided to enter the comedy world full-time, he would, without question, be up there in the same league as Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, the Wayans brothers, and Eddie Murphy, and I mean that with absolute sincerity. Here is a great clip from Danny Brown's own podcast, The Danny Brown Show, that shows his wit and excellent humour when bantering back and forth casually with one of the greatest comedians in the world, Tony Hinchcliffe.
Shit, nah. I get head. I want to see bubbles.
That's right. There's only one way to get bubbles, and that's to blow them.
Shouts out to bitches with the bubbles.
Mm-hmm.
It's different. If you don't suck my dick and I don't see bubbles, it ain't. Did you suck my dick?
Right. If a tree falls in the forest and it didn't get its dick sucked with bubbles.
I'm talking about bubbles. You know what I'm talking about? Bubbles. Only the real bitches would know.
Mm-hmm.
I've been.
You ever seen when there's a bubble on a bubble on a bubble? And
Are
it's
you trying to make me nut right now? What are you trying to do?
In summary, Danny Brown really is one of the greatest natural comedians to come out of the rap world. And in my mind, and the minds of many others, he is one of the greatest natural storytellers alive today. I've recently heard that Danny has checked himself into rehab, so I'm wishing Danny all the best, and I can't wait to hear about these new experiences on upcoming future podcasts and to see Danny's spirit further flourish.